You with the fact that I believe this project, despite the fact that every time we come here there's a small handful of people that will challenge this project, I firmly believe that we have an overwhelming support of the community, and today you'll hear from some of those people. Obviously, I think some of them actually had to go home because of the length of this proceeding today, but on Sunday, we realized that we weren't going to be able to get a huge number of people here since they have to close their businesses and whatnot. So we took about to get a letter drive together, and at this point, I'd like to present 192 letters that we collected in 3 days, and 46 out of the area people that signed letters as well, for a total of 238 people that are in support of this project. So with that, I'm happy to entertain any questions you might have.
Okay, to the board, questions of Mr. Ayers or of the project staff report? Okay, I see none and hear none, and so any additional from staff or the applicant at this time? Okay. Let's move to public comment, public input. I have a number of speaker cards. I would ask that as I call your name, you approach the podium, restate your name for the record, and try and keep your comments at 3 minutes. First speaker is Jim Douglas, followed by Charles Reinhardt.
Aboard, I'm Jim Douglas, one of the owners of the Seagull Inn Bed and Breakfast. I guess I understand it to be that we do need an amendment to the town plan before we do any approval process. I think we're premature at this point, and that's really where I stand. I think it needs to be updated. We're close to an update, and I'd like to see that taken care of.
Thank you, Mr. Douglas. Charles Reinhardt, followed by Leslie Walquist.
Hi, I'm Charles Reinhardt. This has been, of course, a very lengthy process. Frankly, I don't know why the applicants go through all the trouble with the woeful state of enforcement that the county has with illegal rooms. These rooms are in operation, have been for years. You know, it seems like a lot of trouble. You know, unless there's a whiff there, you know, of carpet bagging. Is it possible that this inn is for sale? Well, yes, it is for sale. And yes, those numbers are real. That the value of a property is $200,000 per room, well, in this market, who knows? But, you know, it's something to be considered. I mean, we've all been hammered over the head with a velvet hammer right now. And I think that one thing I'd like to tell you as my time is clicking down is that there was a meeting last November. It was called by the planning team to involve the community, the town of Mendocino, in the mini review of the town plan that was conducted. It wasn't a very well publicized meeting. There wasn't a lot of lead time to it. I went to the meeting. I was, you know, figured I'd be sitting between two people who were going to be opposed to my position, but it was a tremendous turnout. I counted over 50 people. Didn't know how this was going to go down, but as it went down, overwhelmingly, that the town, the people that cared, that came to this poorly publicized meeting, almost to the last one, felt that they'd been shortchanged, that the town plan definitely needs to be reviewed, but a surgical kind of a review that would zero in on the most contentious issues having to deal with the balance of the town was out of the question, and insisted, and Ms. Glassy heard the call, and I believed, coming out of that meeting, that this was going to occur, and I'm confident that it will. There's a misassumption at the basis of the applicant's request for additional rooms, and that is when the town plan was written, lo those many years ago, a survey was taken. Started with a survey and went around to everybody, and if you had rooms, you had to apply. You had to say how many rooms you wanted. You know, the Jacobsons, they had the Joshua Grindle Inn. They said, well, we've got 10 rooms. They got 10 permits. Fine. Everybody that needed a permit got one, whether you were in a residential area zoned or business zoned. That was the status quo. That is the status quo of the town plan. When we talk about balance, there was never any consensus that this constituted some kind of miraculous balance, that this was an idealized balance of what is to be considered, residential to commercial. All we know is that all these many years later, Mendocino's still a pretty special place. And, for the most part, seems to be pretty good balance. But it's tenuous, and we don't know which way it's going to fall. And apparently the town that I saw from that meeting in November feels very strongly that they want to be involved. They want to be fully involved in the process of deciding the future of their town. What kind of a balance are they looking for? And, I'd hope that, you vote your conscience today, and that, we'll see what happens. But I know there's going to be a lot of eyes on these proceedings today. Not everybody could be here, obviously. It is Tuesday. A lot of people from both camps would have liked to have been here and spoken to you. It was important to me. Why? I don't know. I mean, I probably won't be in Mendocino County forever. My inn is for sale. Why do I care? Well, it's kind of personal, I think. It's kind of an ideological difference. I feel that Monty Reed, when he built that inn, this was before the court had approved the additional units. It was built to be a 9-room inn, right? That's totally, bucking the process, if there is a process, okay? Now, whether they deserve them now or not, that's to be determined. That's very possible. Yeah, let's take some rooms from the Arts Center. They don't need them. They're not using them. They're not paying taxes. Good God. But there has to be a process, and the town wants to be involved. And this is going to be the decision you make today, whether you turn a deaf ear to the town or whether you're going to listen and you're going to allow this process to continue and continue the way the town wants it to. Be a fully involved town plan review. That's my comments. Thank you.
Mr. Reinhardt.
Oh, by the way, I did want to thank Supervisor Delbar for his years of service, and particularly for your support of tourism promotion on your retirement. Thank you.
Well, thank you.
Mr. Reinhardt, I have a question from Supervisor Delbar.
Thank you, and I just have a quick question for you, because you are on record as, well, actually Cynthia is, of supporting this when it came around the first time. So I'm wondering what's changed since then.
Just my understanding of the entire process and the need for the additional rooms in Mendocino, and now that I feel more invested in the town myself, I think my colors are coming out.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Leslie Walchrist, followed by Susan Smith.
Leslie Walquist. I live at 44-900 Little Lake Road. Let's see. I noticed that Jed had one of his charts titled Typical Objections. Well, I think that should have been titled Extremely Valid Objections, because everything that he listed on there seemed to be a very valid reason for you to deny this today. I also felt Mr. Carter's logic didn't really add up. Just because the plan hasn't been updated in a certain amount of years, it doesn't seem to follow logically that 4 permits be distributed to the Max Suites today. That didn't really make sense to me. There are many Mendocino residents watching this